watching Fox 7 Austin News at 5.
Beto's got bank. The Democratic presidential candidate raised more than $6 million during the first 24 hours after he announced his White House bid. But will the popularity he enjoyed in Texas translate on a national level? Here to talk about this is Travis County GOP Chairman Matt Mackowiak and Ed Espinoza from Progress, Texas. Ed, Beto did very well in Texas, but what about nationally? Can he win the big nomination?
Well, so far it's looking pretty good. I mean, raising $6 million in the first 24 hours of being in the race is pretty big. It surpasses Bernie Sanders' number of 5.8 or 5.9. That's a big splash. But look, it's early, and a lot can happen in a year. I think the first primary is 12 months out. That's an eternity in presidential politics. And in a field where you have like 13 or 14 Democrats running right now, about 5 or 6 who could legitimately really compete for the first tier here, it's hard to say at this point. The important point is he has had a strong start, and it looks like it's not going to slow him down anytime soon.
You know, Matt Mackowiak, there's a Wisconsin poll that shows Beto at 6%. He's trailing well behind Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, even Elizabeth Warren. Is he a non-factor right now?
I don't think he's a non-factor, and I wouldn't make too much of horse race polling at this point. It's based on name identification, and we're going to be at a very different place even 6 months from now. Look, there was good news and bad news for Beto this weekend. Obviously, the fundraising is very impressive. It's the most anyone's raised in the first 24 hours. You know, Bernie Sanders was a national candidate and probably has larger lists than Beto does, but they both clearly have enthusiastic support, although I saw Bernie had a larger number of contributors, so he had a lower average. The bad news for Beto is, he was on defense a lot of last week, just over the few days he was in Iowa, answering questions he didn't have to answer when he was running for the United States Senate. It's interesting, when he was running against Ted Cruz, the national media and the Texas media had almost no interest in vetting him. We're seeing that change 180 degrees now. He's having to explain why he was part of a hacking group, which Reuters knew about for more than a year. He's having to answer all kinds of other questions about bizarre writings when he was 16 or 17 years old, about murdering children. And then also policy views, which to me are more important. Why didn't he co-sponsor Medicare for All, something that progressives want to see? Where is he on all these issues, these litmus test issues for the left?
Ed, talking about the money, the fundraising, in the polls right now, he's pretty low single digits, yet all this money came in really quickly. How do you explain that?
The easiest explanation is that polls right now are irrelevant. It's March before a presidential election. Most of the money gets spent in the fall and the winter of next year, fall of this year and winter of next year. Right now, what you're looking at is enthusiasm, not just for Beto O'Rourke, but for Democrats in general. When you put Beto's numbers together with Bernie Sanders and Julian Castro and Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, all those others right now, there is just so much Democratic enthusiasm that has carried over from 2018 that I think you're going to see a really good year, but it's also going to be a very competitive year. The bottom line is that you can't put too much stake in polls at this point. It's just way too early.
Okay, talking about competitive, Matt Mackowiak, the list of candidates, and let's throw Joe Biden in there as well. Who is the most competitive against Donald Trump?
Well, we don't know. I think Trump's in a range where he could win or he could lose. He's probably a 50-50 shot for re-election, maybe slightly below that. He's got a narrow path of 270 electoral votes based on the states that we know are going to be the battleground states. The question is, who are the Democrats going to nominate? Is that person way to the left, and does that make it easier for Trump to hold those independents in the middle? I would probably say Joe Biden, Vice President Biden, because he's a direct threat to Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, which is Trump's most direct path to turn to 70 electoral votes. But we don't know how Biden's going to perform. He's performed poorly in the 2 last times he ran for president. So Democrats have a long way to go. 13, 14 candidates, I agree with that. There's 5 or 6 probably who can be the nominee, but we don't know where this thing's going to end up.
Okay, well, you said it. It's a long way to go. Got to wrap it. Ed, Matt, thank you.